Gu Jingchu and I were reborn at the same time. In our past life, we were deeply in love and had a house full of children and grandchildren. But what awaited me after my rebirth was the news that he had gone to the vice minister's house to deliver betrothal gifts. I did right by you in the last life. In this life, I want to live differently. If you still want to be with me, then wait 5 years. In 5 years, I'll marry you as an equal wife. After returning home, I sent a letter to the scholar far away in Yangzhou. Gu Jingchu didn't know that. Actually, I wanted a different life too. Miss Lord Gu's betrothal gifts have been carried to the vice minister's manor. Shangji brought the news from outside, watching my expression cautiously. My hand holding the teacup tightened for a moment. During the meal last night, my parents even asked about my marriage. I said, "Let's wait a little longer, see what Gu Jingchu has to say." Thinking of how we treated each other with respect in the past life, we were considered a match made in heaven in the eyes of the world. But I didn't expect that. In a flash, I'd be slapped in the face. "Miss, are you all right?" Shangji was worried I'd be upset. I set the teacup on the table, feeling surprisingly calm. I even breathed a sigh of relief. "Lord Gu is here," the servant boy outside announced. I nodded to let him in. Meeting again, we were even more certain the other was reborn. That look in the eyes couldn't fool anyone. Gu Jingchu's eyes were red. "Sorry. Why?" I asked, going along with his words. He said, "In the last life I didn't let you down. In this life, I want to live differently." I nodded. Just like in the previous life, never disobeying him. Gu Jingchu was very satisfied with my reaction, the pity on his face deepening. "You know as well, Liu Wanqin won't live past 20. When she is gone, I'll come find you." I snapped my head up, unable to hold back my emotions any longer, and cried out in shock. "You want me to wait 5 years for you, and then become your second wife? What if she doesn't die?" Gu Jingchu frowned. "If she doesn't die, I will marry you as a co-wife." A co-wife is still a concubine. I lowered my eyes. My completely calm heart was finally rippled by the wind. After a lifetime together, I still didn't know him well enough. Gu Jingchu's voice grew a few degrees colder. "Her health isn't good, so what if you yield to her a little? You also know, she died of excessive worry in her past life. If I had married her sooner, perhaps she would have been fine." I smiled, not wanting to argue anymore. "All right." Gu Jingchu sighed, his expression softening. "I know you feel wronged, but rest assured, the wedding banquet then won't be any worse than now. You also know that in 5 years, my status will only be higher." He left, back straight, walking with wind in his stride. Shangji was beside me, frantic with worry. "Miss, how could you agree? What is that Liu Wanqin's status, and what is yours? How could it be possible for you to be a concubine to her?" I smiled and tapped her forehead. "I don't want Gu Jingchu anymore anyway. So what if I let Liu Wanqin have him?" The next day, I ran into Liu Wanqin at Zhenbao Pavilion. Meeting again after a lifetime, she looked much more vibrant. "Sister Qingyan, I heard you were waiting for Lord Gu to come propose, but it is a pity he went to my place. Now the betrothal gifts are settled and the date is fixed. I am afraid you are going to be disappointed, sister." It was a pity that the words coming out of her mouth weren't very pleasant. When did I ever say I was waiting for him to come propose? Is this the kind of upbringing your Liu family has? Spreading rumors to slander my innocence. Do you want to take a trip to the Dali temple? Liu Wanqin's face turned pale with fright. "Lord Gu," she walked towards Gu Jingchu while sobbing. He had just entered the door, obviously unaware of what she had said earlier. Without allowing for an explanation, his face turned cold. "Bu Qingyan, why must you make things difficult for her?" "My lord, don't scold sister. She is just upset, I can understand." Before I could speak up to refute, Liu Wanqin had already spoken. Gu Jingchu let out a cold snort. "If you are unwilling, feel free to find someone else. Wanqin is frail. I won't let you cause trouble. If I see you bullying her again, I definitely won't spare you." After saying this, he supported Liu Wanqin as they left. The jewelry in the box was the same set he had given me after our engagement in my previous life. No wonder, I've always liked silk flowers and disliked pearls and jade, so why would he give me that? Turns out it wasn't prepared for me at all. Somehow, word of the incident at the treasure pavilion got out. Everyone in the capital says I am pining for Gu Jingchu, yet he was lured away by Miss Liu. Mom was so angry she kept wiping away tears. There were plenty of suitors coming to propose. But after this mess, who would still want to come knocking? Everything was fine, and now the reputation is ruined. I glanced at Dad, whose face was livid, and spoke tentatively. Father, do you have a student in Yangzhou named Qi Jingyan? He froze, looking over in surprise. You mean? I lowered my eyes and chuckled softly. I think Yangzhou is quite nice, but he is just a scholar right now, though. Success is only a matter of time. Father thinks very highly of him. My previous life also proved that Father's judgment wasn't wrong. I chose him not just because of his future achievements, but even more because he was self-disciplined and proper his whole life. Never married in his life, family background clean and simple. After getting married and having a child, I realized it is really no big deal. Gu Jingchu was right. Since I've come back again, I should try a different life. Father sent someone to deliver a letter. I sent a letter along as well. But a month passed, and Qi Jingyan didn't send a reply. Until this day, when I met him at home. He was wearing a blue long gown, standing under the corridor. His back looked thin and lonely, appearing cold in the autumn sun. Hearing the noise, Qi Jingyan looked back. Miss Bu. I went up to meet him. Young Master Qi, are you here to give a reply? Delivering the card. What? He explained solemnly. The horoscope card. Is it that fast? Seeing my look of surprise, his handsome brows furrowed slightly. Does Miss have any other instructions? No, it is quite good. Qi Jingyan really is different. To think the marriage was settled so simply. Coincidentally, the finalized date actually turned out to be the same day as Gu Jingchu. Do you have any objections, miss? If needed, we can still change it. He specifically asked for my opinion. I shook my head. It is quite good. Meeting Gu Jingchu again was a month later. On the way to Daxiangguo Temple, Prince Min was attacked by assassins, and both Qi Jingyan and Gu Jingchu were trying to rescue him. Unfortunately, he was rescued by Qi Jingyan first, and the ginseng that saved Princess Min in my previous life was also given to Qi Jingyan by me. Gu Jingchu arrived a step too late, his face livid. Did you tell him? I shook my head. We just happened to meet. Going to Daxiangguo Temple to offer incense. Well, anyone can go, especially since I recently settled an engagement with Qi Jingyan. I have even more reason to go pray for peace and good fortune. Gu Jingchu's brows knitted tightly. He is your father's student, the one who was the prefect of Yangzhou in the previous life. It is rare that he still remembers. Just a mere prefect. How can he compare to me, a second-rank minister? Jingyan, don't tell me this is the husband you chose for yourself. Regarding my engagement with Qi Jingyan, he asked to keep it hidden himself. He wants to wait until after next year's spring examination to announce it. So Gu Jingchu still didn't know. What is this? Before I could reply, the sachet in my hand had already been taken away by Gu Jingchu. He smiled to himself and handed the sachet back to me. Keep it with you for now. I am afraid Wang Qin will feel bad if she sees it. Give it to me in 5 years. I was overthinking. How could you choose someone else? Gu Jingchu was very confident, thinking I got it for him. I couldn't help but voice my confusion. What makes you think I'd wait 5 years for you? We were great in our past life, weren't we? He said it with certainty. I tried hard to think back, and it seemed pretty good, but not good enough to make me disregard my family and wait 5 long years for him. I shook my head, not wanting to speak anymore. But Gu Jingchu grabbed my wrist and said in a deep voice, I'll let it slide this time. Don't get in my way again. Since we're starting over, I think we can go even higher. I turned back, crashing into his eyes full of desire, and my heart gave a start. Suddenly, I was very glad he chose Liu Wanqin back then. But I didn't expect this scene to be seen by Qi Jingyan. He stood under the corridor, as still as a painting. I wanted to explain, but could only say dryly, "I won't do anything immoral. Don't worry. Am I the choice you settled for?" He stared at me, a stubborn look in his eyes. "I am the legitimate daughter of the minister of the Court of Judicature and Revision. Being matched with a scholar like him, even if he becomes the prefect of Yangzhou in the future, is more than enough." But for some reason, I actually felt a hint of timidity. "Forget it. It is fine." Without waiting for me to reply, he already went ahead and said something. On the carriage back to the residence, Qi Jingyan spoke again. "You brought me here on purpose today." It was a question, but with a tone of certainty. "You knew something would happen to Prince Min here." I took a deep breath. He was really too smart. "If I told you that I actually remember things from my past life, would you believe me?" He stared at me intently for a long time. "In the past life, what kind of person did I become?" "You were in Yangzhou, protecting the people of the region. They all lived in peace and contentment, leading prosperous lives." He asked again, "What about you?" "I married Gu Jingchu, helping him run the household and manage general affairs. In the second year, I gave birth to a child, and also helped him take a concubine. He respected and honored me, and I was in charge of everything in the inner courtyard. The concubines were also obedient and well-behaved, never stirring up trouble. Even if there were occasionally disobedient ones, Gu Jingchu would leave them to me to handle. With my father's help, his official career was also exceptionally prosperous. Until in the end, he became even more powerful than my father. But the year we turned 60, we had a fight, the only one in our whole lives. It was over the matter of our grandson taking a wife. He wanted to marry a fisherman's daughter, but I wasn't willing, thinking her status wasn't enough, and her character was no good. She looks soft and weak, but judging by the way she acts, she is probably not someone to be trifled with." Gu Jingchu got angry. "What is wrong with being soft and weak? She hasn't harmed anyone." I was baffled by his sudden shout, until that night, when I heard him muttering in the study. "Being weak just means needing someone to take extra care of you, that is all. Wangchen, if I had been a little braver back then and chosen you, would you not have left so soon?" Inside the hidden compartment on the wall was a portrait of Liu Wangchen. "But I am already 60, there is nothing I can't come to terms with. So, I pretended nothing happened, and he took the out. In the end, he still chose to respect me and picked a noble lady for our grandson. But deep down, I still felt uneasy, always feeling like it shouldn't be this way. Coming back to my senses, under Qi Jingyan's gaze, I nodded. It is pretty good. 3 words, enough to summarize my entire life. When Qi Jingyan passed the spring imperial exams with high honors, our marriage became known to everyone. He rode a tall horse to my house, his gaze falling on me, brimming with emotion. We had seemingly become the center of attention. It is the top scholar. Qi Jingyan was still a man of few words, but the joy on the tips of his brows could not be hidden. I remember in the past life he also passed with high honors, but he didn't seem this happy. Back then, I even thought something had happened to him, so I secretly asked Father. Father only said, "That child never shows his joy on his face." "Congratulations, my lord." Snapping back to reality, I curtsied slightly, but he lifted my elbow. I was thinking, how about not going to Yangzhou and staying in the capital instead? I froze for a moment, then immediately heard his explanation. "Your parents are both in the capital. Being closer will save you from missing them all the time. Of course, if you really want to go to Yangzhou, I can go too. It is all up to you." I couldn't make up my mind for the moment. Qi Jingyan told me to take my time. He said the emperor gave him a choice, and he could report back to him after a while. Gu Jingchu blocked me at the door that very afternoon. "You actually got engaged to him? But Qingyan, did you treat my words as mere wind blowing past your ear?" My body trembled subconsciously. I suddenly realized that I was still a little afraid of him, so I took a step back. Since Lord Gu has chosen someone else, I should also live a different life, shouldn't I? But that was just an expedient measure of mine. He gritted his teeth and stepped forward, while I retreated step by step. Please go back. I have no expedient measures here. Once a choice is made, do not regret it. Gu Jingchu laughed out of extreme anger. He looked toward Qi Jingyan, who was walking over from not far away, raised an eyebrow and said, "If he knew about the past life, would he still be willing to marry you?" I subconsciously looked over. Qi Jingyan had already arrived right in front. Gu Jingchu, looking determined to win, smiled faintly and spoke. "Top scholar, there is something you do not know. Qingyan and I have some misunderstandings. She only agreed to the marriage with you out of spite. Now that we've talked it out, I hope the top scholar can let go." Qi Jingyan's gaze was solely on me. Is what he said true? Gu Jingchu's face turned cold, his gaze carrying a threat. I smiled and pried his hand away, walking to Qi Jingyan's side. "It is not true. My agreement to the engagement with young Master Qi is sincere." "Bu Qingyan, you!" Gu Jingchu stared at me for a long while. Finally, he flung his sleeve and turned around. "You don't know what is good for you. You'll have your time to regret," I silently replied to him in my heart. "I won't." I seemed to understand where the uneasiness in my heart in my past life came from. In that split second just now, I had an epiphany. On the surface, Gu Jingchu respects me, but he has never truly taken me seriously. He only makes decisions for me, and then talks me into them. But Qi Jingyan is different. At least he genuinely considers me. "Is he your husband from a past life?" A voice came from beside me. I turned my head, and only then did Qi Jingyan slowly look over. "Do you really believe in such things, young Master Qi?" He smiled, but the look in his eyes was serious. "If you say it, I believe it." My heart skipped a beat. If I didn't know he was so ascetic, I would have thought he was interested in me. Qi Jingyan and I chose to stay in the capital. With Prince Min's help, his starting point in this life was much higher. His official rank showed signs of closing in on Gu Jingchu's. In the blink of an eye, it was early summer, and it rained heavily for several days straight. An official from the Ministry of Revenue stepped down. So, a position opened up. Gu Jingchu came to our door but was turned away by my father. He went through roundabout ways to find me. "What did you say to Lord Bu? Why won't he see me?" Seeing his self-righteous look, I was stunned for quite a while. "Bu Qingyan, don't think that without your Bu family, I won't be able to move a single step. Since I've returned through rebirth, naturally I can foresee countless opportunities. Just you wait. I can get that position even without relying on you." He was fuming. He had already walked out, but after a short while, he turned back. "I'll give you one more chance. Break off the engagement with Qi Jingyan. I can bring both you and Wang Chenin at the same time. You'll be on equal footing. I'll even let you live in the East Courtyard." He wore an expression as if he had made a huge concession, waiting for me to know what was good for me. Seeing I didn't speak, Gu Jingchu slammed the table. "She has backed down this far. What more do you want?" The moment he slammed the table, the tea in my hand also splashed onto his face. Trouble Lord Gu to sober up a bit. "Would I pass up being the top scholar and Hanlin official's principal wife to be your co-wife? But that Qi Jingyan will only ever be a young Zhou prefect his whole life. What prospects could he have? How do you know he will still be the young Zhou prefect?" Gu Jingchu paused, clearly also realizing that Qi Jingyan didn't go to young Zhou in this life. His expression instantly turned sinister. "No wonder you wouldn't see me. Turns out you saved the spot for Qi Jingyan, right under the emperor's nose. Does your Bu family really have no regard for the law?" He stormed out like a madman. Xiangji at the door was given a fright. "Miss, what is going on?" I shook my head. It was merely impotent fury from being too eager for quick success. He knows full well we're right under the emperor's nose. How could the Bu family possibly give people something to gossip about? Even in the past life, Father never participated much. He merely offered a pointer or two. What is more, Qi Jingyan's ambitions didn't lie in the Ministry of Revenue. He was more interested in the Ministry of Works. I had just come down from the tavern when I saw Qi Jingyan's hurried figure. He stopped in front of me, panting slightly. Gu Jingchu asked to meet me. I know. He sighed and touched his nose. Then he turned his head to pick out hairpins at a stall to the side. This one looks like it would suit you well. Qi Jingyan wasn't a man of many words. When he talked a lot, it was to cover up his panic. Like right now, the tips of his ears were red. He didn't even dare to look at me. Could it be that he likes me? The thought popped into my mind out of nowhere. Living a second life. I was long past being the little girl from back then, but Qi Jingyan was still just a half-grown boy. How could he possibly hide his feelings? I'll buy it for you. Seeing I didn't speak, Qi Jingyan took out money and bought the hairpin. Then he said he would take me home. In the carriage, he held a book, looking calm and composed. But that book, he was holding it upside down. I really couldn't stand watching anymore, so I pulled the book out. Did you come specifically to find me? He nodded. I was afraid you'd be taken away by Gu Jingchu. After saying that, he hurriedly explained. I may not be as smooth-talking as him, but I certainly won't slight you after we get married. My salary will be all yours, and I will work hard to move up so I won't let you suffer with me. He wanted to say more, but I covered his mouth. Qi Jingyan suddenly stopped, his entire face flushing red, spreading all the way down to his neck. So, you like me? I voiced the doubt deep in my heart. He was startled, staring at me with wide eyes. Then asked cautiously, Will you be scared? I shook my head. So, do you like him? This time, he nodded. I like you. After saying that, he stared at me nervously. I read the letter you gave me. Don't worry, I won't bother you. I will restrain myself and observe propriety before getting your consent. I absolutely won't have any improper thoughts about you. He anxiously raised his fingers, looking like he was about to swear an oath. I really did send him a letter. That is because I thought he had no interest in matters between men and women. So he proposed a collaboration. After we marry, in front of others, we will be husband and wife. But at home, we can live separately. We won't interfere with each other. If someday you find a woman you like, just give me a divorce letter. I originally intended never to marry, but I have to consider my parents and the other sisters in the clan. So, that is how I came up with this method. Even after returning home, I was still in a daze. Qi Jingyan's words still rang in my ears. 3 years ago, when I visited your residence as a guest, I fell in love with you at first sight. But at that time, my status was lowly, so I dared not hope for anything. Even when I received your letter in Yangzhou, I couldn't believe it. I thought, if I could pass the exams with high honors, I might just be able to reach your level. If not, then no matter how unwilling I was, I should let go. Miss Boo, if you still have doubts or want to break off the engagement, I will certainly grant your wish. It was I who hid my feelings first, but when it comes to love, how can it be kept hidden? When it comes to love, how can it be kept hidden? I chewed over this last sentence carefully. So, in the previous life, Qi Jingyan wasn't uninterested in women. Was it because of me? I couldn't digest such a thing immediately, so I stayed home for 3 full days without going out. When I finally went out again, the news of Qi Jingyan being impeached by Gu Jingchu had already spread. 2 endlessly glorious young men had become enemies. Gu Jingchu openly mocked him in the royal court, social climbing, a despicable and shameless scoundrel. Living a dog's life of petty scheming, I disdained to associate with such a person. But for some reason, Qi Jingyan never refuted it. Everyone said he had a guilty conscience. Rumors even started spreading that his talent was just an empty name. The most undeserving Zhuangyuan in history. I think the Bu family is involved in this too. Who knows? Maybe Lord Bu pulled some strings during the spring examination. Isn't the chief examiner this time Lord Bu's Prot Fei? Birds of a feather? No wonder Miss Bu wants to marry him. I rushed over to Qi Jingyan's house. Why don't you explain clearly? If they want to condemn me, they will always find an excuse. Are you stupid? I pushed him in anger, but he grabbed my hand. Have you thought it through? If you change your mind now and break off the engagement, you can cut ties with me, and the Boo family won't be implicated either. I frowned. In these 3 days, I never once thought of breaking off the engagement. What I was thinking about was my past life. I sadly realized that perhaps Gu Jingchu never loved me. That is why our marriage was like a pool of stagnant water, so calm that not a single ripple could be stirred. I thought of a concubine of Gu Jingchu's from my past life. Her family was in business and had accumulated a great deal of wealth. When she was first taken in, Gu Jingchu treated her extremely well. Later, the concubine's family fell on hard times, owing a buttload of debt. Gu Jingchu suddenly found an excuse to give her the cold shoulder. She took the jade you gave me last year and sold it. Just send this kind of woman away. That concubine cried and shouted that the jade was a gift from the master. No one believed her. It wasn't until recently that I finally realized perhaps what she said was true. Fortunately, in my past life, seeing how lonely and miserable she was, I only sent her to the country estate, and still had people take good care of her. Qi Jingyan's burning gaze brought me back from my memories. He seemed flustered as he opened his mouth to ask, "Do you really plan to break off our engagement, just because I like you?" If that is the case, I'll just hold back. Okay, I'll just keep myself from liking him, that is all. What if I don't call off the engagement? Are you going to drag the Bu family down? I raised my head and looked over. Qi Jingyan froze for a moment, then suddenly smiled. Like the sky clearing after rain, crystal clear and bright, shining like new. Then I'll go find him, and tell the whole world I didn't do such a thing. I definitely won't let you down, and I won't let teacher down. So, you were waiting for me here, then you go ahead. I smiled and said, "Go tell Gu Jingchu that you are not just a name." Okay. Qi Jingyan turned around and walked away. By the end, he actually started trotting. It has been 2 lifetimes, yet I have never seen such a lively side of him. Only later did I find out he went to file an imperial complaint. Young and vigorous, he was also open and fearless. As a disciple of the Son of Heaven, he debated Gu Jingchu right in front of the emperor. For every point Gu Jingchu questioned, he rebutted one, until the light in the emperor's eyes grew more intense as he looked at him, and until Gu Jingchu was left speechless. He bowed his head unwillingly. Apologies, I wrongly accused Lord Qi. Qi Jingyan waved his hand nonchalantly. It is a small matter. We are colleagues, both serving the emperor, so it is understandable. But I also have some doubts here, and I hope Lord Gu can help clear them up. Before Gu Jingchu could react, Qi Jingyan launched a series of attacks. That orphan girl from Yangzhou held a unique copy of a military manual, but a month ago someone swindled and snatched it away. She was murdered on her way to the capital to lodge a complaint, and that rare copy was gifted by Your Excellency to General Chang a while back. I wonder where the rare copy in Lord Gu's hand came from? Gu Jingchu frowned deeply, and just as he was about to speak, he was interrupted by Qi Jingyan. Don't be in a rush. My lord, this official has other matters here to ask about as well. My lord can go back and think it over carefully. Once you've thought it through, just answer them all at once. And so, one thing after another was brought up by Qi Jingyan. Gu Jingchu was obviously flustered. The emperor on the throne turned even more livid. That very day, Gu Jingchu was sent to prison. Qi Jingyan came out of the palace alone and came straight to my house. At that time, Shangji was mimicking the rumors from outside. Miss, you have no idea. That Gu Jingchu was questioned by our Lord Qi until he was sweating profusely, completely powerless to fight back. It is just that our Lord Qi is so eloquent outside. How come whenever he is in front of you, miss? He always. Mid-sentence, Shangji saw Qi Jingyan approaching, hurriedly shut her mouth, and found an excuse to leave. When he got in front of me, Qi Jingyan spoke nervously. Will you be unhappy? Seeing my confusion, he explained. Are you unhappy that I treated him that way? What happened between Gu Jingchu and me is already past history, and he has only himself to blame for his current situation. In his past life, he held a high position, so naturally he knew many secrets that others did not. But he was too impatient. He wouldn't even hesitate to trample on human lives to achieve his goals. It was only a matter of time before something went wrong. But I didn't expect that after staying in prison for only one night. He was released. Qi Jingyan was also very angry, but there was nothing he could do, because the person who let him out was the emperor. Not only did he release him, but he also promoted him by 2 ranks. Gu Jingchu enjoyed boundless glory for a time. The winds in the capital also shifted in an instant. It is all Qi Jingyan's jealousy, deliberately trying to trip him up. Those are all slanders. Lord Gu loves the people like his own children. He would never do such things. I rushed to find Qi Jingyan, only to see him drinking tea with Prince Min. Both of them looked at me in shock. Just as I was hesitating, Prince Min smiled. I suppose this is Miss Bu Qingyan, whom Lord Qi is always thinking about. Yes. Qi Jingyan stood up and pulled me to sit by his side. I froze, hurriedly lowering my head. Prince Min couldn't help but tease as he was leaving. From what I see, Miss Bu is quite worried about Lord Qi as well. Qi Jingyan was very smug. Naturally, she is worried about me. I looked over and found the light in his eyes couldn't be contained, so I hurriedly turned my face away, but also secretly breathed a sigh of relief. The day of my wedding to Qi Jingyan was unusually desolate. The court ministers all went to Gu Jingchu's place. Only a third of the seats were taken, and the expressions on everyone's faces were also quite awkward. Later, some people simply left early. Qi Jingyan grabbed my hand and gave it a squeeze. Sorry, I let you be wronged. I shook my head. He knew early on that there wouldn't be so many people coming over today, but he still followed the usual standards, even putting heart into selecting every single dish. What could I possibly find fault with? It'd be a waste to just leave it. So why not let the neighbors come over and sit for a while? It'll be lively too. Qi Jingyan's eyes lit up, and he hurriedly nodded. He still lived on the long street from before, and the neighbors nearby were all ordinary folks. Hearing they were coming to his house for a banquet, everyone felt it wouldn't be right to show up empty-handed. Master Qi, my family doesn't have any other good stuff. These 2 eggs were laid by the hen this morning. I couldn't bear to eat them, so I wish you the early birth of a precious son. Master Qi, these are fresh vegetables from my home, just picked from the field. Look. Everyone looked at him eagerly, and he smiled. Everyone just come for the feast. There is no need to bring things. How about this? I accept your kind intentions, but take the things back with you after you finish eating later, all right? Hearing him say this, everyone became unhappy. That won't do. This meal of yours is worth so much of our stuff. If you don't accept it, we won't eat. Then put it away. Everyone sit down. I took a step forward and said with a smile. Qi Jingyan hurriedly said, if Madam says to accept it, then accept it. A wedding banquet, actually quite unique. Joyful and lively, full of blessings. Qi Jingyan had a few extra drinks, and when he returned to the room, his cheeks were slightly flushed. His face was buried in the crook of my neck, muttering in a low voice. I didn't expect the old man next door to hold his liquor that well. I actually nearly couldn't outdrink him. His breath lingered behind my ear. It was so ticklish. But Qingyan, are we really only going to be a couple for show? 23 Tode is my wedding night. After all, he paused. If you don't want to, then forget it. I said I wouldn't force you. As if deflated, he suddenly moved away. But I hooked my arms around his neck. Lord Qi, are you playing hard to get? Qi Jingyan stared at my lips and gulped. Maybe a little. I just don't know if it worked. I chuckled softly and gave him a fleeting kiss. But he shuddered, and the instant I tried to pull away, he pressed against my back. My eyes went wide. The man's muffled voice came through. You are the one who provoked me first. I want to be husband and wife in private too. I smiled and played along, until my whole body was so tired I couldn't lift my arms, dripping with sweat. Only then did I suddenly realize that my previous life seemed to have been lived in vain. They say enemies travel a narrow road. I actually ran into Gu Jingchu on the day of my return home. He was taking Liu Wanqin back for her return home. Qi Jingyan and my carriage gave way to them, making Gu Jingchu very smug. Bu Qingyan, do you regret it? His horse stopped beside us, and he said lightly. But I didn't have time to respond to him. Inside the carriage, Qi Jingyan was kissing my lips. Bu Qingyan, what? Do you not even dare to see me? I sighed in my heart. He has lived a whole life already. Why is he still so hung up on things? So, I lifted the carriage curtain and looked over. Gu Jingchu's pupils constricted sharply. What were you two doing just now? What could we be doing? It is between a husband and wife, and we weren't in public. So what business is it of his? Bu Qingyan, how can you be so shameless? Gu Jingchu was trembling with anger. I looked baffled. Me and my husband, how exactly is that shameless? On the other hand, Lord Gu, as a newlywed, aren't you riding in the carriage with your wife? Gu Jingchu took a deep breath, barely managing to calm himself. I'll make you regret this. He urged his horse away, galloping far off in the blink of an eye. Liu Wanqin hurriedly lifted the carriage curtain, only to find her husband had already run far off. She stomped her feet in anger. Standing at the front of the carriage, she glared at me hatefully. Are you satisfied? I thought of Qi Jingyan's performance on our wedding night, and nodded. Indeed, quite satisfied. Satisfied in every aspect, and it looks like she isn't too satisfied. Not only am I satisfied, but my family is also very satisfied. After the meal, Father took Qi Jingyan to the study to discuss matters. Mother and I sat together, chatting about everyday things. The way I see it, that child Jingyan is no worse than Jingchu. When you first brought it up, I was worried for a while, but now it seems I was worrying for nothing. I lowered my head, embroidering mandarin ducks, and replied with a smile, It is good that you can rest assured, Mother. Although things are a bit difficult for him right now, fortunately his nature is neither arrogant nor rash. Your father said it is not a bad thing. Mother was comforting me about the recent matters between Gu Jingchu and Qi Jingyan. Although the emperor released Gu Jingchu, and even promoted him to higher ranks, but he also didn't punish Qi Jingyan. This shows that things aren't as the outside rumors suggest. Seeing you like this, he must have spoken to you already. Mother was very gratified. Since he lets you know everything, he must be a husband who cherishes you, Qingyan. Her voice had barely faded when Qi Jingyan was already outside the door. He rushed straight to me, suddenly realized something, and hurriedly paid his respects to Mother. Mother could no longer hold back her laughter. Go on, take your husband for a stroll around the house. Qi Jingyan blushed and stammered his leave. We had just left Mother's courtyard when he couldn't help grabbing my hand. Blushing and seeing the courtyard full of servants, I couldn't help but smack him. It hurts. Qingyan, be gentle. Qi Jingyan suddenly leaned in, looking all aggrieved. I was shocked, and hurriedly quickened my pace. Qingyan, behind me. Qi Jingyan followed step for step, until we reached my boudoir. I was just about to close the door when he quickly squeezed inside. He even closed the door behind him in the same motion. It is broad daylight. What are you closing the door for? I reached out to open the door, but was pulled into a full embrace by him. Qi Jingyan rested his chin on my shoulder, holding my waist and swaying back and forth. I am very happy, I froze. He kissed my earlobe and repeated, Your husband is very happy today. I know. Then why is my husband happy today? Because my wife only has eyes for me. How come I didn't know? I only had eyes for him. Qi Jingyan wrapped his arm around me and walked forward. I had to back away until I fell onto the bed. His palm pressed against my waist, supporting my lower back. His lips pressed against the corner of mine. When my wife met Gu Jingchu, she still only had eyes for me. His voice was bewitching, seductive as hell. This is an experience I've never had before. A heart-scratching itch. I just wanted to get close to him. And I really did just that, pressing against his lips, whispering softly, only you. Chi Jingyan froze all over, his eyes suddenly widening. I pushed him away, wanting to run, but was easily hugged back by a certain someone. Chi Jingyan is sick. He held me and giggled foolishly to himself, kissing my lips again every now and then. It wasn't until he had laughed enough that he said sullenly, "At your parents' house, isn't it bad?" She stopped mid-sentence and suddenly looked up, staring at me with sparkling eyes. "Let's go back, okay?" I thought of something, and was shocked to the core. Just as I was about to push him away, Chi Jingyan grabbed my hand and placed it over his heart. "Qingyan, show me some love, okay? It is killing me." So, I found an excuse to go back with him. Mother hurriedly had someone pack up the soup that was still simmering in the kitchen. Take it back to eat. "Thank you, Mother." Chi Jingyan didn't refuse either, bowing respectfully. Even though we'd already walked quite a few steps away, I still heard Mother's stifled laughter coming from behind. Chi Jingyan quickly grabbed my hand, gripping it tightly. Mother understands. It was already 3 months later when I heard news of Gu Jingchu again. He was thrown into prison once again. This time, the emperor personally issued the decree, beheaded for public display. As for the reason, it was summarized in just a few words. Every single thing Chi Jingyan had exposed, back then, was written on the charges. On this day, Chi Jingyan came back from duty. "He wants to see you." It was Gu Jingchu. He went to see him one last time. Gu Jingchu looked fresh and clean in the cell. Presumably, he hadn't suffered any torture. I didn't expect that in the end. I would be the one regretting it. His eyes were red, his voice hoarse. The foresight I thought I had gained turned out to be a death warrant. "Buqingyan, did you foresee this step long ago?" I shook my head. "I am not a god. I can't predict things like one. I just feel he is dangerous. That kind of madness is scary. If I had married you, how wonderful that would be. Liu Wanchen isn't as good as you, after all. After finding out I was in trouble, he took the family's belongings and ran off with someone. The ridiculous thing is, she actually fell for a horse slave. Buqingyan, I really regret it so much." I raised my eyes to look at Gu Jingchu. "It is a good thing you didn't marry me. I am doing pretty well now." "You, after a long while," Gu Jingchu finally replied. "Did you not live well in your previous life?" I originally thought it was pretty good, but now I realize it wasn't. Following the routine, accepting my fate that was my previous life. Knowing Gu Jingchu was stubborn, so I never went against him. Knowing his methods weren't exactly above board, but I turned a blind eye. Not finding out meant no worries. Everyone else said it was good, so I told myself it was pretty good too, and that I should be content. But only now do I realize what is truly good. Gu Jingchu slumped onto the ground, his face covered in tears. If I beg you to help me, would you help me for the sake of our past life?" It was rare to see him so weak and pitiful, but I shook my head and refused him. "You brought all this upon yourself. No one can help you." When he chose to tell the emperor about his identity as a rebirth, he was destined to die. 3 months, enough for the emperor to learn many things about the future from his mouth, but also enough to drain him of all his value. Especially when the emperor discovered he had connections with the new emperor of the previous life, he became even more fearful. Gu Jingchu single-handedly changed the course of the future. A clean death was the final dignity the emperor granted him. "Aren't you afraid I'll tell them that you are also a person of rebirth?" My face turned cold. "You can go tell them. That is if you can get everyone to believe you. I am but a mere woman. I haven't done anything. Even with rebirth, I wouldn't pose a threat to them." Obviously, Gu Jingchu thought of this too. "If there is a next life, I will choose you." I felt disgusted. If there is a next life, I will go straight to Yangzhou to find Chi Jingyan. I wouldn't give Gu Jingchu the chance to reject me at all. When I came out of the prison, I found Chi Jingyan's carriage waiting outside. I had just lifted the carriage curtain when I was pulled inside by him and held in his arms. "You went in for half an incense stick's time, deducting the time spent walking. That is enough for you two to exchange over a dozen sentences. Qingyan, I won't ask what you two said, but you have to kiss me 20 times. Meme, otherwise I'll feel wronged. Qingyan placed my hand on his chest. The only thing missing was him pouting as he waited. I kissed him as if resigned to my fate, but he suddenly deepened the kiss, until I was gasping for breath, glaring at him in a huff. Only then did he say with a smile, "That was once, the other 19 are owed for now." Qingyan, madam, I am jealous. Just humor me.